Maura, ¿de verdad tengo que leer para mejorar mi español? Yo no soy de leer, me aburro. Primero, yo creo que sí. Deberías leer en español para mejorar tu español. Segundo, yo no soy de leer no significa nada. Estás leyendo todo el tiempo. Casi todo lo que ves en el teléfono, en la computadora, en la calle, lo estás leyendo.
So, if like Alex, you're not a reading person or you don't know how to use reading to improve your Spanish, this video is for you. I'll prove to you that reading can be easy and crazy effective. Let's go through 4 big tips filled with tons of micro tips to learn Spanish while reading. Empecemos. Número 1. Read at your level.
Esto no es lo que deberías estar intentando leer. Al menos no por ahora. Entonces, ¿qué leo? Prueba con libros infantiles o con artículos simples de revistas. ¿Sirve un post de Instagram?
¿Tú qué crees? Is a social media post good reading practice? For these purposes, definitivamente sí. If you're a social media type of person, please go for it. TikTok parece tener subtítulos o texto por todos lados en cada uno de los videos. If you start following Spanish-speaking creators, you'll do a bunch of reading without realizing. And if using TikTok sounds like you'll just be watching teenagers dance, I promise it's not once you train your algorithm. ¿Sabes qué más podrías leer? Our free Essential Spanish Chunking Kit, which you can access through that link in the description. You'll get your reading done for the day, plus the most basic necessary chunks covered. The idea here is that you find stuff to read that match your level. Sé tan creativo o creativa como quieras. Opciones para todos los niveles. Libros infantiles. Like I said before, this is a great option, especially if you're into reading books. Or if you have a favorite book from your childhood that you know well, find it in Spanish. I did this with El Principito and read it in French. Recetas. If you're into cooking, find the recipes in Spanish. El vocabulario es repetitivo y conciso. So, though it might be confusing at first, it's an easy way to learn new vocabulary, what it means in the practice, and how to use the imperative mood in Spanish, since this is the mood that recipes use the most. Noticias. The news tend to use clear, more precise vocabulary than a Gabriel García Márquez novel would, for example. Though it might require certain skills, the structures are more direct and organized. Si sabes mucho y quieres retarte. Poesía. Depending on the author, this can get complex even for natives. But if you're a poetry kind of person in your native language, this could be a good option for you. Abrirá nuevos mundos de complejidad y posibilidades dentro de tu español. When I managed to read Shakespeare in English, I knew I was reaching new levels. Novelas. If you do enjoy reading fiction, learning Spanish is a door to a heaven. Spanish being this big, we have such a rich, wild literary universe. Así que, si lo puedes manejar, try some García Márquez, or some Julio Cortázar, or some Isabel Allende. They'll be challenging, but they'll blow your mind. Número 2. Don't look up every word in the dictionary. I'll share my easiest, simplest, oldest tip when it comes to reading at the end of this video. Make sure to stick around for it.
Pero qué flojera buscar en el diccionario todo lo que no entiendo. Yo creo que no deberías hacer eso. ¿Y qué hago cuando no conozco una palabra entonces? Lo resuelves por el contexto.
I'm sure you've heard that before. The important thing here is that you make reading a pleasurable experience, no una agotadora búsqueda de definiciones. Here's why reading at your level is key. If you don't understand any word, clearly you'll have no context to help you out. Así que, cuando encuentres palabras desconocidas, este es mi consejo. No busques definiciones. Traduce la palabra a tu idioma. I am 100% against the idea that you should learn any language separated from any other languages you speak. ¿Sabes por qué aprender nuevos idiomas es más fácil cuantos más idiomas hablas? Among other things, because there are more codes to associate the new code with. There's more to compare to, more to mirror what you're learning. So, translate the word, and all the baggage that comes with that word in your known language will stick to the new word in Spanish. Solo traduce aquellas palabras que aparecen con mucha frecuencia, or words that are so central to the information you cannot do without. Anota la palabra y revísala después. If you can continue reading without that word, keep going. Only once you're done reading, engage in the translation or definition looking. That way you'll still protect the experience of reading from being constantly interrupted. Junk alert! Don't overuse this one, but do use que flojera for things that you find annoying or boring. Some Spanish speakers, people from Spain for example, would use the synonym que pereza. Flojera comes from flojo, which means lazy. So you can say that someone that feels flojera all the time is flojo o floja. Ten en cuenta que se trata de una queja, así que sé consciente de cómo la utilizas y con qué frecuencia. Número 3. Listen and read at the same time.
Ven, vamos a poner una peli en español con subtítulos en español. Me voy a perder la mitad. Que no, ponemos algo que ya hayas visto. Vale, pero entonces mejor una serie.
I'm sure I've talked about this in another video, pero esto es tan real que no me extraña que aparezca tan a menudo. A big part of why I could also write in English, even if I never practiced that, is because I watched everything in English with English subtitles. Also because I'm a pretty good writer in Spanish, if I could say it so myself. Hacía esto incluso si no los necesitaba. Alex's idea of watching a rerun of a known TV show is a great one. Here are a few more ideas. No tienes que ver la cosa completa. Whether you use a movie or a series that you already know or not, know that you don't have to watch the whole thing like this. Sobre todo si lo haces como técnica de aprendizaje. Find 15 minutes of anything and watch that in Spanish while following along with the subtitles. Eso es todo. Simple enough, right? Ponle subtítulos en español al audio en inglés, or audio in languages you fully speak. It's always better to listen to Spanish, of course. Pero esta es muy buena adaptación para probar. You'll still be reading in Spanish if you do it consciously. And because you understand the audio, that will help fill in the gaps while still creating associations between words, sentence structure, and grammar. Lee en voz alta. This could work as another variation. Instead of listening to an audio, listen to yourself. In other words, read out loud like you did when you were learning how to read in your native language. Esta es tan buena práctica que incluso mejorará tu pronunciación. Número 4. Find a native Spanish-speaking buddy. When all else fails, or if you have the privilege of having native Spanish speakers around, use them. Cómprales una birra o una taza de café, llévales al parque, and ask for 15 or 20 minutes of their time. You can read out loud to them and have them make your life so much easier by using all the tips we've discussed. So you could. Pregúntales sobre las palabras que no entiendas. So much nicer and complete than looking it up yourself. Pídeles que te corrijan mientras tú lees en voz alta. Kind of like when you read out loud in school or to your tutors. Pídeles ayuda con estructuras gramaticales más complejas. Not to explain the grammar to you, just to help you with what it means. Again, this will be an entirely different experience than researching it yourself. Pídeles que lean en voz alta mientras tú les sigues leyendo. Número 5. Change the language on your devices. Y aquí está, por simple que suene, mi consejo de lectura más antiguo. The easiest way to start would be with your phone. You know your phone and what you do with it. So, go to Settings or Configuración and change the language to Spanish right now. I mean it. Go. The initial confusion will last very little if this is a phone you already know by now. Y las recompensas no se pueden comparar. You can, of course, try with any other devices you really have a handle on, like una tele, una computadora o tablet, un Kindle, una cámara. Any device you already know you can navigate in your native language, but that you read off of all the time. Y no olvides que puedes pedir ayuda a ChatGPT o cualquiera de sus alternativas para casi todo esto. Like an AI body that won't be able to correct your pronunciation, but that can supply text to read at the level you indicate. It can also give you the translation or definition for that text, and even provide more ideas to practice reading in Spanish. For more tips on how to use ChatGPT, click here. Now, at the beginning of the year, I made a video that compiled all of my best tips for learning Spanish. Click the image on the screen and follow me to my biggest compilation of wisdom so far. Nos vemos allá.